Welcome everybody, all my Nasty Nation members, Nasty Hotties, Nasty team members, non-binary pals, and if you're watching this, you tuned in to the Nasty Rally talk show where we talking to my boy Decent from New York City and from TikTok fame. He's got some, respectful opinions, on wrestling. Give it to you raw, give it to you real. Non-biased. That's what I fuck with her. That's why I fuck with him. I had to have him on the show. Um, and I know you're thinking like, oh, why is he on the show? I'll tell you why he's on the show because I be seeing him on all the podcasters, and I'll be like, oh, I wanted to see if you come on my show. So, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. I just be there's like you. It's like three people that I really like when I first got on. When I continually So I've been had my account for a minute, like 2 years, but I hadn't been active instead of like these couple months. So I found you, and I was just like, "Oh, he giving it to everybody. He's not just being like biased. He's like, if you, I'm giving it to Impact. I give my opinion about SmackDown, Roman Reigns, like And then that's the thing. I don't know how you be so respectful to people talking reckless because fall out the hinges in a second. I'm like, who you talking to? That's just me. But he'll be like breaking it down, give you long form answers. It's like. So he's like, hey, listen, Sami Zayn gonna lose the title. Y'all gonna be mad. People was mad when I say this. So I was like, oh, I like talking to this. I like hearing his opinion. So I gotta talk to this dude face to face, on a video camera. So as it's SmackDown, as it's Rampage is gonna be coming on, as it's on right now and stuff. I really just wanted to get your opinion on just like personally, uh why do you what made what was your first I know you watched House of Glory because you got the hat and stuff,
hmm
but what was your first like outside of New York independent wrestling show that you liked that you decided to follow?
Hmm. I want to say like my first like out of New York independent show because like I don't want to say old for lack of a better term, but I guess if you want to classify it as independent, and I guess you can given the time period, but ECW definitely was like my
Okay.
first foray into quote unquote independent wrestling. So the way I got introduced into pro wrestling was through my brother's father. He was a big WCW NWA guy. So like my early memories of wrestling were Ron Simmons, Sting, Barry Windham, Ric Flair. So that was my introduction into professional wrestling. And then of course, eventually WWF came along and, I was very into wrestling during the Monday Night Wars, so I was flipping
Hmm.
back and forth much like everybody else. I was more of a WCW person because I love the cruiserweights, so Dean Malenko, Psychosis, of course, Ray, Eddie, Chris Jericho. Like, I love the cruiserweight. So that's what compelled me to be more of a WCW fan than WWE. But once I found ECW, like, that was it. Like, I still watched the other stuff, but I was heavily tuned in to ECW. And up here, before ECW had its national TV deal on TNN at the time,
Hmm.
um, ECW used to come on the MSG network. And that's where they aired, Knicks games and stuff. And ECW would come on like real late at night, like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. At the time, as a kid, I would stay up that late. So like I managed to catch ECW during that time. So that was my first introduction into, independent wrestling outside of New York. And then of course you got Ring of Honor that comes along, and then you got PWG, CZW, and all these other different, indie promotions to say the least. And House of Glory came to me because I've always heard of it, especially with Master P's intervention with it, but I got more into it because my friend started training there. And
Okay.
so once he started to train there, I started to go to a lot of the shows. And that's how like I got introduced to House of Glory. I went to my first show in 2021. The
Oh,
end of
okay. Awesome.
2021 was my first show, like in-person show, and I was just like, yo, like this is it. It's not too far from me. I live in Brooklyn. It's in Queens, so it's probably like, you know, a 30-minute car ride. You know, so I go enjoy the shows. Last show that I went to was a few weeks ago, and it was actually the the school that my friend is training at. They have like, you know, a showcase, if you will, and they perform in front of a live crowd. So I went to go support him. But yeah, that was pretty much my introduction, and ever since, I mean, I can't classify when like my first memories of professional wrestling started to kind of form. I've just always known about professional wrestling. People look at me crazy when I say that. Like, I can't
Mhm.
remember the first match that I've ever seen. Like, I can't remember like how I know all of these wrestlers' names. Like, it's just like one of those things. It's like a lot of people don't remember taking their first steps. A lot of people don't remember saying their first words. Like, I don't remember my first wrestling match that I ever seen. I just know that wrestling has always been a part of my life.
All right. Yeah, I feel the same. Always tell people that my first time even watching wrestling was ECW. I found
Mm-hmm.
it by a commercial actually. Um, but I remember this New Jack coming out. I remember the Dudleys and I remember New Jack, and that's about it. Like I remember cussing out Barbara Ray at the time because I was 8 years old. I'm a I so I so as you as people know, I the outlaw thing is not like just a wrestling thing. I've always
Mm-hmm.
been an outlaw. So I grew up in a group home. I was one of those kids that my mom left me, my dad. I don't even know what the fuck he went and shit, whatever. But I basically grew up on my own half of my life. So I was like around my teens. Um, I moved around a lot, and then I moved to Atlanta later on. But before then, I was watching. I found the ECW as a commercial. I think I like tried to get down there every time they had an event, but I couldn't. You
Mm-hmm.
know. But I remember cussing out Bully Ray at the time. I remember seeing New Jack was the first black wrestler I ever seen. I thought he
Dope.
was. He was the coolest. Like a lot of like my um one of the guys he's the assistant coach. I call him the babysitter coach. But we don't I don't like him because he kind of looks down on ECW or GCW and you know hardcore wrestling. I was like, it is what it is if you don't like it, but you don't have to look down on me. Anyway, we get into a
Yeah.
lot. Like he always gets me shit because my favorites are New Jack and Homicide. Like those is related to me being that growing up where I grew up in Philadelphia. I mean, since you're from New York, I'm from Philadelphia. I don't know if you know that, but like
Yeah.
that's where I'm from, and I think this is why we relate to it because it's so relatable. You
Yeah.
know.
It was definitely like, you know, and I always say this, you know, it ECW always was like the blueprint for like a lot of what you see in professional wrestling. And I know once again you have WWE, you have WCW, but like if you look at what ECW was doing, you know, it set the blueprint and set the groundwork for what a lot of these independent promotions are now doing.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, not necessarily just like, you know, the hardcore aspect of it, because once again you mentioned GCW, but even just the spirit of the performers catering to the fans and giving the fans what they want and showing new styles, showing, you know, personalities in a way that you might not have been able to see them
Mm-hmm.
on WWE or WCW at the time. So yeah, and once again, like that was something when I discovered it that made me feel like, oh, there's a new form of wrestling that exists, and like it just blew my mind. I was telling people for the longest time that Rob Van Dam was my favorite wrestler. You know, when everybody was like, you
Same.
know, yeah, when everybody was like Stone Cold or Goldberg. And don't get me wrong, I like those guys too, but it was just like when people ask me who's your favorite wrestler, I'm like Rob Van Dam, and they weren't they were aware of ECW, but they weren't watching the same way that I was watching. Because once again, I will watch the pay-per-views. You know, Mike Awesome versus Masato Tanaka is one of my favorite wrestling feuds of all time, because they just, every time they were in the ring, it was just like, oh my god, these two are gonna kill each other.
Yeah, they
And
go to war. Like
yeah, my
I don't
favorite
I
tag
don't know
team
how it
was
was over. I don't know how it was in New York, but I used to get in fights over like fucking ECW versus WWE. Like I literally, I literally got into a big fight, and I fucking dude threw me through a fence, and I fucking got caught, and I fucking they ripped my it basically ripped my pelvis open, skin open, all that kind of shit.
Jesus.
Had the fucking surgery and shit, and like it just like it fucked my legs up and shit like that. Was walking like a penguin for a while, a month or
Wow.
two, you know. People be like, "Oh, you're a ring warrior. You've been to some wars." I'm like, "This is not even this wrestling. This fight. What
Right.
happens? Me walk. You see me walk. This is what happens. I've been fighting in the streets out here. I'm really about this outlaw shit. I've been doing my own thing for a minute. So it's like he was like, "Oh, because you were GCW, you outlaw." No, motherfucker, I've been outlaw. I just found my
I'm not living the gimmick. I'm living my life.
I'm living my life. Nancy Leroy is my life. Like people think this is a character. No, this is me 24/7.
Exactly.
I wish I could tell you this is a character, but it's not.
Right.
I'm
And
yeah.
I mean, New Jack wasn't a character. You know, Eddie Kingston's not a character. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like, and I think that, with pro wrestling, with a lot of people, when you get into the whole kayfabe, what I'm saying, shoot logic, it gets a little bit
Mm-hmm.
messy because of fans, they swear they know. And like, yeah, you have a wealth of information that you didn't have before when you were growing up as a professional wrestling fan. But, there are things about this industry that us who sit and watch still don't know. And even me, as knowledgeable as I am, I love indulging in the fact that I don't know everything, which is why when it comes to me discussing certain things on TikTok, I know where my boundaries are. I know where to stay in regards to those boundaries, because at the end of the day, this is a show, and this is how men and women like yourself, feed their families, how they take care of themselves. They spent the lifetime perfecting this craft. They continue to do so. So I wouldn't be a fan if I was to step on that and kind of insert myself into certain conversations that don't require an opinion from me, which is why I try my hardest on TikTok to kind of like give a perspective and back other fans up and let them know that, hey, like, I know we're opinionated, I know we're knowledgeable, but there's still a wealth of information that we don't know, that we're not supposed to know as fans. And I think that's why I'm able to be as objective as I am and have that level of non-bias, because to me, it's a show, and I mean that in the most complimentary way. I'm not saying it
No,
as,
no, I know you made a
yeah,
compliment.
I mean that is the most complimentary way. Like, this is a production that, we're indulging in. And much like any other show, there's a curtain there that we're not supposed to cross. Disappeared on me, man.
I don't know what the fuck happened. I think I hit something. What the fuck?
Yeah, but
Oh, we back though. Yeah.
yeah, but I kind of, try to like be at my most non-biased for the sake of me being a wrestling fan, because once you start to get into the weeds of like having this like sort of perspective and outlook on professional wrestling, you kind of remove yourself from being able to enjoy it. And I've always wanted to enjoy wrestling despite how much I may know about it, now versus when I was a kid, because this is the thing that keeps me in touch with being a kid. So on
Yeah.
TikTok, I really try to like offer perspective more than anything. And I do it in a way that, I would like to think is respectful because I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just trying to convey my opinion. And my opinion is my opinion. I'm not speaking as an authority. I'm speaking as a fan. But sometimes I encounter people who feel like they think that I'm trying to, say something that I'm not trying to say, or you just encounter trolls who just want to speak for the sake of just speaking. That's why I kind of don't take it as seriously as, I probably should in certain instances, because
Mhm.
this is something that's supposed to be fun. And
Mhm.
when you get into that space of being really negative and really toxic, that means you're not having fun with the
Yep.
thing that we're supposed to be having fun. I'm still having fun. I love wrestling, but I'm also able to kind of step away from it and live my life and realize that TikTok is just an app. It's not the end all be all for me, because I can still enjoy wrestling even if I wasn't on this app. And that's how I kind of keep the perspective when I'm giving my takes or giving my critiques on things. And I just love wrestling across the board. There's things that I like, there's things that I don't like. But even with the things that I don't like, I try to give context as to why I don't like it. And if you like the things that I don't like, I'm not gonna knock you for liking it. Like I want everybody to enjoy one of my favorite sayings is enjoy your wrestling.
Mhm.
Whatever your brand of wrestling is that you enjoy, be it WWE, be it AEW, be it Ring of Honor, be it Impact, New Japan, death matches, the Joshi girls and Stardom, like whatever it is that you enjoy, like enjoy it and kind of just block out all the noise and like don't be too concerned and consumed with the things that you don't like. It's cool, to have an opinion on how things could be better, but like just to critique things for the sake of just critiquing them means that you're less of a fan and more of a critic.
Yeah, and it's a thing to what I'm getting to. A lot of times, like in my position, people in my position will be like, "Oh, the fans are they smart, but that's not as smart as they think they are." And then one of my trainers at the time was like, "Fans are stupid. I mean, they're smart, but the way they're stupid at the same time." It's like you could pull these gimmicks over them. I was like, and I just said to him like, I don't think so. Like I think they're as smart as I think they're more smarter now than they was a couple years ago. But at the same time, they don't really know all the stuff about wrestling. But it's like they know when certain things are certain things. Like for
Yeah.
me, I think a lot of people want hiding my popularity in 2020. People will be like, when I would take certain things a certain way, they'd be like, "Oh, Leroy he's shooting hard. He's what's the word? What's the word? He's working himself into a shoot." And
To a
I'm like,
shoot.
"No, this is not me working to my shoot." And even as you think I'm blurring the lines, sometimes I might actually have a problem with this person. Like
Yeah.
for example, MJF. I had a problem with MJF, and I still have a problem with him. But I just kind of like leave that shit alone. I'm not gonna bark. I'm not gonna call him out because I'm not gonna keep calling him out and keep saying his name. The simple fact, not because I'm scared or anything. It's just like you showed me your colors as a person, as you know. I'm sure you a word or you follow me enough to know about my sayings
Hmm.
about who's a rat bastard, who's not. So um, uh, MJF is a rat bastard. He's a red lock rat bastard. That's a fucking fact. He is a rat. Like it was a time, and I can say this publicly because it's just nobody told me not to say it publicly, so we'll see what happens. If I get a text or not from QT. Um, but a while ago, I wanted to work with MJF, and I thought we would have a good chemistry. I thought we would have a good match or a good build up to it and all that kind of stuff. Um, shoots me down, says no, okay. I said, all right, cool. I'm thinking he's favoring me. Then he says, Joey Janelle at the time, who was in the company, who was like, yeah, I'm not working with Nestle or ever in my career. And he said, why? Oh, because he's stiff. I'm like, and And like that wasn't even like I don't even care if you don't work with me, but don't put lies on my name on my stuff because you ain't never been in the ring with me. Like if you see my stuff, okay, that's cool. Like you think of us, you have a certain thing in your head, like, oh, he's this wild card guy that really hits hard and he's not really protecting you and stuff like that. But you didn't call me, you didn't hit me up personally and tell me, hey, brother, you still are we good to work? Like, nah, you just kept saying to everybody, oh, he's stuff, I'm not working with him and whatever. And like said it to QT at the time I heard, and said it to Tony and everybody, everybody else, but like the main people who are important. Like, and I just didn't fuck with that shit. And I try to call him on it. I try to be like hit him with it privately. I don't have his number or nothing, but I just hit him up on Instagram and be like, yo, I heard you out here saying I'm stiff out here. Like, what's the business? Like, I'm not talking to MJF the character. I'm talking to Max the person. Like, where's your issue with me then? What's your issue with me? I said we were good the first time. Now you make me not saying like I'm good, we're not good. Because behind closed doors, we said we was good. He's like, you came up to me and you said, do you hate me? And I said, no, I just think you're a rat bastard in character form. I'm just trying to build to our eventual match. And he was like, oh, we laughed it off, ha, ha, ha. That kind of stuff. Everything was good. But now you're out here putting disrespect on my name. I just didn't fuck with that. So him as a person, I don't fuck with that shit. So I'm not gonna call him out and be like, yo, he I want a match now, and because like if you don't want to work with me, don't work with me, but don't disrespect my name. So I just told people that I was like, hey, just tell them not to put disrespect on my name. We all good. So
No, that's real. And to your point, that's kind of like the mentality that goes around when it comes to the creative side, content creative side of, being in the wrestling business or being a wrestling fan, where you have
mhm,
people who, in one way or another, they take your opinions or they take the things that you say and try to turn it into something that it's not. And then it leads to a level of disrespect that it doesn't need to go to, especially when a
mhm,
conversation isn't being had. Like I see a lot of content creators get into it with one another. And it's very unsettling because I feel like in the space that we're in, especially as Black people, most of the time, I see like a lot of friction lies. Like, you know, I want to uplift as many creatives as possible, especially the Black ones. So, like, their issues with one another, like, I get why they may have issues with, each other. And it's not my space to say that they shouldn't have problems with one another because that's their cross to bear and that's their situations. But if there's a situation where conversations can be had and things can be ironed out, I'd much rather them do that rather than put people in a position where they feel like they have to choose, and that was one of my apprehensions about kind of getting into the space of being in the professional wrestling content space because I honestly just want to use this space to connect with, other creatives, to connect with wrestlers, to be a part of a group of people who I felt like I've been looking for my entire life. Because when wrestling, stopped being cool, I was still into it,
mhm,
and it took me a while to kind of find people who were, of a certain ilk who enjoy pro wrestling the way that I did. And for a lot of those people to look like me, as far as being Black, like that's been very eye opening and, very refreshing. And it made me feel like, oh my God, I found my tribe, So
yeah, yeah,
when I see a lot of discourse happening on, the content creator end, it's like, it's very disheartening. But at the same time, the people that do have, legit issues and feel like other people are disrespecting them. And I kind of made a video about this today. Like, I'm never going to be the type of person to tell somebody else how to deal with disrespect. If how you react to disrespect is how you react to disrespect. And people can look from the outside looking in and say, oh, it's as simple as a conversation. You guys shouldn't be doing this, but I'm not in that situation. I'm not that person. I don't know how
mhm,
they feel. So
yeah,
for me, as somebody who wants everybody to thrive and succeed, yes, I would like if there's an issue for the issue to be solved. But if two parties can't get along or one person feels like they can't because there's just a certain level of disrespect that's happened, then I don't blame them for not wanting to work with the person or wanting to even be civil to a certain extent. because it's a real competitive space. Like professional wrestling is a competitive space on all fronts, especially when you introduce the content, aspect of it, because this is kind of, a new frontier, even though blogs and podcasts have been around for, ages now. But
Mm-hmm.
in the time that, we grew up respectively enjoying pro wrestling, the only vocal majority you had were the wrestlers themselves and the things that they said about each other and the fans who
Mm-hmm.
were in attendance at, shows. You didn't have this overwhelming populace of people, be it on TikTok, be it on, you know, Twitter, Facebook groups, or Reddit, or, podcasts, or wherever, just giving their opinions and giving their feedback to so many different things. So that's why, like in my case, like I always want to be able to try to keep it within the realms of like the actual professional wrestling itself and the aspects of the business that I know for a fact are things that everybody is aware of, and not going off of speculation, not going off of, rumors, but just going off of things that I know. And if I don't know it, then I'm not going to talk about it. Like that's just how I am as a person, because even independent of everything that I've done on the pro wrestling front, I have a media background. I wrote for a pop culture website for a number of years. I did interviews, I did hosting. So I'm big on credibility, even if it's talking about something like pro wrestling.
Definitely, definitely, and like so yeah, because like that makes more sense of like you have more of a different approach than a lot of people. Like I said before, like, and you know how like you've been on TikTok long enough to know this. You know how you find a person and you watch their videos and like you disagree with them, but like you what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know if you like, oh, I didn't like this video, oh, I didn't like this video, or I don't like his opinions, but he's good and everything. It's just like, or he could have handled it differently. I think, or no, I don't agree. I don't agree with this video, and they'd be like, "Oh, I gotta take this." There is none. There is none videos, and I'm not just saying it because you're here. There's none.
Mm-hmm.
Like I disagree with and even if I had disagree with
Mm-hmm.
you will come at me respectfully, you know, what's the word for it? Real thought out, we're in to break it down why you said this, how you said this, and what you think about certain bookings, certain promotions. And that's what I respect though, because like there was one video that it was opinion I didn't agree with, but you broke it down like this is why I disagree, and this is why this wrestler should get the title, and this wrestler should go to here and go there, and I'm like, if you just put it like that, I was like, hey, listen, you got it. I ain't even got this. I ain't
But
even got
even,
no
but
problem.
even, yeah, but even if you disagree, like, and I think that's like the big misconception is that I don't, and I'm not saying it's like rude. It's like I don't care. Like if you disagree, like if you disagree with me, like we can still be cool. Like, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's where a
Yep.
lot of the toxicity transpires in the professional wrestling sphere. On social media, where like
Mm-hmm.
if you don't share the same opinion, we can't rock with each other. There are plenty of people who like I'm really cool with, and we don't share a lot of the same opinions when it comes to professional wrestling. Like my friends in real life who like I love, who I consider, family. There are
Mm-hmm.
things in professional wrestling that we don't agree on, and like we'll have a conversation about it. But then like it's not real, the conversation. Like yeah, professional wrestling isn't just this like this very passe thing that I don't take seriously. I take it very seriously. I appreciate the commitment that people like you know go through and have gone through to perform in the ring for the sake of my enjoyment and the enjoyment of other people. Like all day, every day. Even if I don't like a wrestler in particular, I will never ever discredit the work that they put in order for them to get to that level. Because and it's all in the scope of them being characters. Like I could look at a wrestler and go, you know what, his matches aren't necessarily for me, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't belong where he's at. Like obviously he did something to get to where he's at, where he's on TV every day, or I'm paying money to sit in an
Mm-hmm.
arena and watch him, but on the content end, it's like I'll have an opinion about something, and it's an opinion, like you said. I think, I really do think it out. Like that's just how I am as a person. Like once again, the media background that I have,
It
it compels
shows.
me to, yeah, it compels me to, spell things out. And also, I look at professional wrestling once again as a show. So like I'm analyzing it from a standpoint of like, okay, if I was writing this script, like this story doesn't necessarily go here. So that's why I kind of have an issue with it, because like
Yeah.
from my writer's eye, it's like, okay, like, but I also have to take into consideration why this might be here. And that's where the smart wrestling fan aspect kicks in, where it's like, okay, they might have done this because they felt like this character is going to get a gimmick change, or this character needs time off, or this match was to substitute, for something else that's about to happen, or this is because they found out that this person gets this sort of rating at this quarter hour, so they want to keep him on TV during this time. So there's all these variables that we're not aware of that drives the business for the company. And sometimes those booking decisions don't have anything to do with what the fans want, but what's best for the business. And that's something that I always have to keep into consideration. As much as this is a fan driven industry, a fan driven product, at the end of the day, they got to do things to keep the lights on. And sometimes that isn't appealing to the fans. It's doing what's best for the company and doing what's best for the talent, because wrestling fans are very fickle. Like
Yep.
they want things, when they want things. And I mean that in both a literal and figurative sense. If they saw somebody tomorrow who they felt like should be world champion, they want him to be world champion tomorrow. And they don't consider all the other aspects that go into it, where it's like they can't be world champion just because you're cheering for them. They have to wait their turn because there's somebody else who's been tapped to be world champion. The numbers don't
Mhm.
look the way that they're supposed to look in order for them to be world champion. So it's like you get the moment, but then when things don't materialize the way that you want them to materialize, all of a sudden you turn on them. Like case in point, like how everybody essentially turned on Hangman when he finally won, or how everybody turned on Liv when she
Mhm.
won. So it's like I'm always in that space of being very consistent with my train of thought when it comes to watching professional wrestling, because I don't think people understand how difficult it is to write a professional wrestling show, be it on, TV every week like AEW or WWE, or, like Outlaw or, HOG. Like I
I
always say
used
to
to
people,
I used to not to cut you off.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
I used to back when we used to have One Fall Wrestling a couple of years ago. I used to, well, not only my stories, but like I used to help. So QT ran the show, but he also wanted other people to like help book and stuff because he would always say like even if you don't get a job as a wrestler, or if you have a job as a wrestler, or like a manager and stuff like that, you can always learn the behind the scenes and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
like I've learned, and I'm continuing learning the behind the scenes of how to write a storyline, how to how to put stuff on TV or YouTube or whatever, like how to book. And like I'm pretty simple in my booking, and I'm pretty good at my booking. I always need an extra head, but like to flesh out ideas and stuff. But like I used to book majority of the shit not only for myself, but like for the other people, and it was easy. It was easy to follow along. But I wouldn't. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie and tell you it was easy to book, but I ain't gonna lie and tell you it was not easy to write for people.
Yeah,
People
yeah.
all had different ideas. Like
Mm-hmm.
we did this. I did this thing like the open challenge. So I wanted to have different people come up and challenge me. And so people joke around and be like, "Oh, you want the Goldberg kind of challenge? You just want to beat people." I was like, "No, I want you to give a good fight, show your character, and then like, you know, I would ask UT if he wanted me to go over. So most times he would have me go over, and then it got to a point where he could like, it's your decision if you want to not go over. You don't have to go over. If you want to end your streak, you can end your streak. So he kind of like gave me my own, creative control, and it's like I beat a lot of people, but then I also gave them a lot of offers, a lot of
Yeah,
stuff to show their character and stuff. So
yeah, but
it's
like that's something that you earn. That's something that but even still, with the aspect of writing a professional wrestling show, it's I always try to like use this rationale when it comes to like writing and booking a professional wrestling show. Like think about it
mm,
as like a normal TV show. For like a normal TV show, you're writing, for like maybe like 4 to like 7 characters, you know,
yep, and
on
all
a weekly
different.
basis. Yeah, and all different, but still, it's a limited, scope of characters that you're writing for. Now, for
Mm-hmm.
professional wrestling, you're writing anywhere from 50 to 100, given how big your roster is. So like, could you imagine writing for that many people, though, that many characters, and somehow, some way, having them all intersect one way or another, to the point that each of it, like each interaction, doesn't get boring, doesn't get repetitive, doesn't get stale. Like that's insane. Like,
That's a
and
headache. This stuff.
yeah, and then you think about like bigger companies like WWE and AEW, where they have to do that on a weekly basis and do it in front of a live audience. Like that is not simple at all. So I always try to call fans to task to like understand that it's not easy. Even for a company like WWE that's been doing it forever, it's still not easy. So you look at places like like AEW that's only been in business for like 4 years. Like, of course it's going to be difficult, and of course there's going to be growing pains. Of course you can't have your entire roster on TV every single week. Of course everybody's not going to be able
Mm-hmm.
to get the consistent booking or the consistent storytelling that you would like for every single character and every single story that's on television at the time. So it it's situations like that and like conversations that I feel like fans need to be reminded of, and fans need that perspective and that window into, because we get really entitled and really caught up into feeling like, hey, we're giving our
Why are
money,
you
we're
pushing
giving.
QT Marshall on fucking Dynamite against this person?
Exactly. Like, but it's like you don't understand that there's a reason for that happening. Like Tony is probably saying, "Hey, QT, could you go out there? Could you work this kid so that way they could get reps in, so that way the crowd can start to get behind him because we see something in him." And QT, being the professional that he is gonna say, "Yeah, of course," because that's his job, both literally and figuratively. So when he's out there, it's not for the sake of oh, QT is getting time because he's in Tony's pocket or whatever, or like he's trying to get himself over. It's like, no, he was told by his boss to go out there and do something, and that's what he's doing. And to your point about the open challenge, like same thing. Like initially you were writing, you went out there, did what was asked of you, and then eventually you got the credibility and the trust to book your own storyline. And that's literally how the professional wrestling industry is. You work your way up to that point where you're trusted by the promoter, trusted by your peers to do the right thing. Does everybody do the right thing? No,
No.
but at the same time, it's something that it's earned, and that's what fans fail to realize. Like certain privileges, they're earned. Like when you hear people talk about like Roman being like a legit locker room leader, never mind how you may have felt about his character on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Amongst the people backstage, be it the people in management or the actual stars themselves, they have that trust and they have that respect for him, and that's why he is who he is when it comes to him
Mm-hmm.
being on TV. And they acknowledge that, no pun intended, and understand that. And like I said, these are the things that I want wrestling fans to be conditioned to look into, to analyze, to take themselves out of the emotion of professional wrestling, because it is a very emotional sport. It is a very emotional genre. But if you think coherently, if you think logically, like that's what also kind of makes it fun. That's why I'm able to kind of sit back and look at where the story is going, because, and I always say this, and people often get confused, that I don't have a personal investment in professional wrestling. When I say that, it's like I'm following the overall story. Like, yes, I have my
Mm-hmm.
favorite, wrestlers that I love for certain reasons, but like if Adam Cole lost a match, like I'm not gonna be upset because I know that there's a reason as to why he lost the match. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
You know,
Facts.
so it's
But
like,
let me ask you this though. Let me ask you this
mhm,
though. So you're I don't know if you want to say his name, but your boy that trains at House of Glory, right? Is
yeah,
he is he in the how long has he been training? Do you know?
I think he's been training for about 2 years now.
Okay, so I always tell people like let's say your boy gets on House of Glory shows, right? He's
Hmm.
wrestling, he's doing his thing. He gets on what's the Impact? He gets on Impact Wrestling, right? He
Hmm.
gets like you'll say like a 6-month contract, right? I
Hmm.
always say this to fans, like he gets a 6-month contract. First he's interacting with, the mid lord tier guys like Swinger and Dice and whatever. So, they say Dice, oh go put your boy over. What for context, what's his do you know his wrestling name or whatever?
Yeah, his name is Oni King.
Oni King. So they say, hey, go put over Oni King. And then Dice goes over, put over King and stuff like they'd be like, oh, who is this new guy? You know how fans do. Like, oh, who's this new guy? Impact. Well, he's gonna get spots right there. Yes, he gets put over, he wins the match, then he starts winning, having more storylines and stuff. Now we're at the point where he's a character now. People are invested in him. You're already invested in him because he's your boy. Like y'all
Hmm.
hung out together, y'all personal interest and stuff. And
Hmm.
then people are like shitting on him because I guess like he's I don't know. Let's say he lost one of the titles. He lost the digital media title, and now he's trying to get back on the road to championship. From
Hmm.
your perspective, you want your friend to win, and you want him to do good and stuff. And I always tell people like 9 times out of 10, you don't know these people, but if you knew them, you would
Hmm.
go so hard for them.
But
That's
even
why.
still, yeah, but even still in that aspect, like I went to his first match in front of like a bunch of people
Mhm,
last year that he had, and yeah, he was in the main event for the title. It was a triple threat match.
mhm,
Um, and as much as I wanted him to win, in kayfabe, I was happy that he had that spot because I knew
mhm,
that he went what he went through as far as like the training, and everything that he went through to get to that moment. So
yeah,
you know, it was like, yo, I'm happy that my friend is out there doing his thing, living his dream, and realizing the thing that he said that he wanted to do. But of course, in kayfabe, like I wanted him to win, but
mhm,
when I went to see him a few weeks ago, he actually won his match. And like
mhm,
I was actually watching and like I told them, like, there were moments I was watching and I had to take myself out of it. Like I forgot you were my friend. Like I was watching, a good wrestling match. Like I wasn't watching my friend wrestle. Like I was invested in the story. Like I
yeah.
forgot that you were my guy. And it was like that's what I like about professional wrestling. The behind the scenes stuff is cool, and I think fans get so immersed in that aspect and feel like they want to show how much they know because it makes them feel closer to it. But sometimes the suspension of disbelief makes you more connected to wrestling than anything else. Because yeah, you can read the dirt sheets, you can get all the news, you can be up to date on all the rumors and stuff like that. But I feel like that's creating the rift between fans actually enjoying it the way that it's meant to be enjoyed.
And to your point, it's like we was talking about earlier with the MGF thing. Like people, when I said that, they were like, some didn't believe me, whatever the case may be. Some was taking his side, but it's like I think I tweeted it about a while back. I said, "Oh, now I say I have a problem with MJF. I don't like him. I don't fuck with him. You saying that? Oh, because he's a rat bastard. They think I'm talking about kayfabe. Rock. They're not talking. They don't even think I'm talking about actually. Like seriously, I don't mess with him. Like, hey, if
Mm,
he don't mess with me, I don't mess with him. But it's like I feel like I felt, and I said this. I was like, if MJF was to do something like Joey Janela did, you guys will all praise him. But as soon as Joey Janela or me, because I'm his I'm his protege, I'm his side, or not even sidekick, I'm his protege, I'm close to him. So whenever I'm like agreeing with him or disagreeing with him, oh, you're just saying that because you don't want to seem like you're agreeing with Joey Janela all the time. And it's just like, brother, I'm saying this from my point of view, and it's how it is. If I agree with him, or if I disagree with Joey, and this is all stuff I disagree with, but there's like, I know how his, I have a good, I would say I have a good, I've got to know him well enough to know where he comes up with this stuff. Like he's like a mad genius, like a mad scientist.
Yeah, funny
Um,
enough, I actually got to interview Joey last year.
oh yeah,
Yeah, he was
okay,
in the yeah. I interviewed Joey last year. Great dude. Like
yeah, he's a great dude, and
like
that's why I like this. I want to tell people like so many people hate him for so many different reasons, and I'm
and
like,
we talked about it too, and it was just like I think what it is with Joey is that and I kind of like put him in like and Matt Cardona like the same school of thought where it's like they take what they do serious, they don't take themselves seriously, if that makes sense. Like they realize that what wrestling is and what they are
mm,
to wrestling and what wrestling is to them. So the ego and the entitlement that resonates with them when it comes to their work, it's them being able to make that connection with the crowd that has them so
mhm,
invested that makes them think that they are really these people in real life, and once again, that's the aspect of professional wrestling that I tend to like stay away from because I don't want to know everything to that degree that it puts me in a frame of mind where I'm distorting reality and like I'm getting so sucked in to the point that I'm losing the context of when I'm watching. You know what I mean?
mhm,
So it got to a point where I had to stop. I had to stop reading dirt sheets and like reading rumor mills and like all this other stuff because I don't think fans understand that helps you form a narrative. And one of the videos that I made on TikTok is
mhm,
like I find it like very very ironic that people only tend to believe the dirt sheets when it fits their narrative. So if it's about
mhm,
somebody that they like or if it's about something that they want to happen, then the dirt sheets are correct. But when it's about somebody that they don't like necessarily, they're still willing to believe the story just because it fits the narrative. But if somebody that they like was rumored to like be a really good person backstage and it's like no, that's not true, the dirt sheets are just saying that because of whatever. So once again, like the context of everything when it comes to professional wrestling is very very important. So when I talk to people like you and I talk to Alex from MFW, Boomaye for the people, that's my guy right there.
yeah, yeah,
So
love
like
Alex. That's
yeah,
teaming up.
so yeah, so like when I have conversations with you guys, like I'm always trying to be as respectful as possible because there's a wealth of knowledge that you guys have. Like you guys do this is your lives, and like I'm just sitting here watching. And like you said, fans are smarter than they've ever been at this point. But at the same time, like we still don't know a lot. And me personally, I don't want to know a lot. Like
Mm,
I'm cool with the I want to say the historic aspect of professional wrestling, like
okay, okay.
knowing about that. Like if I read something in an interview that came from a professional wrestler themselves, then it's like this person is saying that this thing happened, and even then, certain things you kind of have to take with a grain of salt. But that's their experience. That's not me following a narrative. That's something that was presented on a public platform from the person who experienced this thing. So if it's like Nasty came out in his documentary and said this thing, like, oh, he said that. I'm not gonna build, my narrative off of something that you didn't say, just because I want to seem like my suspicions about something going on behind the scenes is right, and that's what a lot of people do. And I don't want to be one of those people that contribute to making guys like you, guys like Alice's job harder, because I'm not doing you guys a disservice. I'm doing you guys a disservice by, not committing to what it is that you guys are doing. You know, fans, I feel like fans, we have a responsibility ourselves. You know,
Mm.
it's a symbiotic relationship, and I said that in one of my videos. Like, it's a symbiotic relationship between fans and the wrestlers. Like, we have a role to play, you guys have a role to play, and every so often those, you know, paths will cross, and you know, sometimes, like, you know, the mutual respect isn't, you know, it isn't there. Like, fans tend to overstep their boundaries and think they know more than they
Yep.
actually do, and wrestlers kind of, like, you know, undervalue and underappreciate how much fans actually do know. You know, like, I think like the benefit of having somebody who's, you know, a close friend be a professional wrestler is me getting certain context to certain things that I might not have had before. But even still, I don't feel like I know a lot just because one of my close friends, you know, is a professional wrestler. That's still his world. That's still something that I'm not 100% aware of. You know, I don't know what it's like to take a bump. You know, like, I can't fathom that being my life. I can't, you know,
The what part?
understand, like, I can't understand, you know, the aspects of taking a bump. You know,
Oh,
like, I
okay.
know, like, I don't know what that's like. I'm not gonna pretend that I know that it's like. I know that it hurts, you know. So, like, I'm not gonna pretend that just because I saw, you know, a tutorial on Tough Enough that I know how to take one the right way. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
like, that's what a lot of fans do. Like, because we have all of this information, we feel like, you know, we know what, you know, something is supposed to look like, and to some extent,
Or 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 getting yelled at by Billy Gunn. You don't want to get yelled at by Billy Gunn like he did ZZ. We watch that shit over. I'm glad he ain't never yelled at me like that. It's like it's a big man yelling. Okay, I don't care what nobody say. That's a big ass dude yelling at you.
Yeah, Billy Gunn is massive. Like, for his,
Like he's
like,
currently training at the Nightmare Factory. He's like they're one of the second coaches,
yeah,
and it's just
yeah,
it's fucking it. I don't know if it wears me out, but it's like I don't know if I'm like it's surreal because he'll be yelling at somebody else, but he'll never yell at me, and I'm like, thank God you don't yell at me. I was like, I get scared. I ain't gonna hold you.
funny enough, I got to interview Austin a few years ago too.
Oh
Austin
yeah,
Gunn.
okay.
Yeah,
Gotta check
once
that
again,
out. Check that out.
super
Check that
super.
out.
Yeah, I'll send you the link to the interview, but also
Yeah,
super
send me the
dope.
link to that one and then Joey's. I never checked it out. So
I got you. But like, so like, even with, you know, me interacting with, you know, people like that, and like, it's always me just being appreciative of the fact that they want to talk to, you know, fans. And I feel like we have to do a better job of being able to maintain our relationship, you know, with wrestlers. Like, it's one thing to critique from a certain perspective, you
mm-hmm.
know, and but once again, do it with respect, do it with grace, do it with, you know, the understanding that despite this wrestler not necessarily being your cup of tea or being, you know, somebody that you find entertaining, that doesn't take away from the work that they put in and what they do on a consistent basis, or how valuable they are to the company that they work for.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, you know, two things can be true. Somebody cannot be your cup of tea as far as a wrestler, but that doesn't mean that they're not a good wrestler, you know. Like, and I think that's where the confusion lies with a lot of fans, where like, if we feel like if we're not entertained, then it's bad. You know,
Like
like, if I
mhm.
don't find, if me in particular, if I don't find this thing entertaining, then that means it's bad, and that means the company is failing because I don't find this entertaining. And that's why the tribalism is out of hand and ridiculous,
Crazy. It's
because
crazy.
yeah,
It's
because you have people, like, obviously, if WWE was doing so bad, they wouldn't be making record breaking profits and having sold out arenas and like having people tune in to their product if they were doing bad. Like, I think that's the weird thing that fans do, where if they feel like they're not watching or if they're not entertained by it, that suddenly means that, you know, it's not good. And it's like, good is extremely subjective, but even still, you have something that is good. So watch that.
mm-hmm.
Like, I always say there's like there's wrestling fans, and then there's fans of promotions, you know, and
Yeah.
the two aren't the same thing. Like, I don't care where you wrestle, you know, if I enjoy your work, I'm gonna watch you. You know, if you popped
Facts.
up, you know, if you popped up in Impact, if you popped up in New Japan, if you popped up anywhere, I'm watching you. Like, if you were on, Dynamite tomorrow, but then, you decided to, go and, do something, for another indie promotion, I'm going to watch because I'm a fan
Mhm.
of, I'm a fan of, just wrestling in general. Like, I'll go to, Madison Square Garden to watch a show, but I'll also go to a parking lot in Brooklyn to see, a wrestling match. So like I'm a fan, but then you have people who their their perception of wrestling has been crafted by WWE, and it's not 100% their fault because a lot of people have only had WWE as a source of reference when it comes to professional wrestling, so they think that that's the right way to do professional wrestling across the board. But then you also have people who were so against what WWE was doing that they think AEW is just like this pristine, perfect wrestling company, and that's also not true. Every company has its flaws. So it's like when you get so embedded in like, your company being better than the other company, it skews your bias to the point that you're not a fan of wrestling, you're a fan of a promotion, and that's where, and once again, this is something that I lived through. And I don't know if it was because like wrestling was just like a different ecosystem back then, but I enjoyed both. Like I flipped back and forth between Raw and Nitro, and I enjoyed them both equally.
Mhm.
Of course, they got to a point where one kind of pulled ahead and was doing better than the other, be it, creatively or, business wise or whatever. But still, when WCW was in its quote unquote dying days, I was still watching because there were things about it that I did enjoy, so I wasn't sitting there, watching and, talking shit the entire time that I was watching. I was watching
Mhm.
because I enjoyed it. Like even now, like, and I said to people, like, there are things that I don't watch, and I don't make it a point to talk about it because I'm not watching. So like if I see my homies talking about NXT, I'm not gonna chime in and say how terrible NXT is because I'm not watching. That could be a good ass episode of NXT that's going on right now, but since they
Facts.
haven't done anything to rope me in so I could watch, I'm not gonna give my criticism until I watch again, and then I can make my critique. There was a point in time where I didn't watch Raw because I just found myself not enjoying Monday Night Raw, and then when I did watch, it was good, and it was like, okay, so I'll start watching again. Like these are the habits that I want wrestling fans to kind of create or rediscover or start implementing because it makes for a much more enjoyable viewing experience, and it definitely helps you look at the sport differently, and it definitely helps you appreciate the wrestlers a whole lot more.
I definitely agree, and it gets to, well. I wanna get on to this point, and then we'll move on to the next topic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's weird to me how the most promotion. Okay, so as much as I dislike Matt Cardona, the rat bastard he is, and ducking me and not wanting to fight me, that the rat that he is, there was a point that I had to agree with him, and I was like, I know sometimes you gotta give the rat its due, I guess, when you right, you right. I mean, I can't, but he was like, what was it? He was like, GCW is like, what he said, the third, fourth company. He said doing it without TV, and they're still like the third or fourth company. And some people was like, no, they're not the third company. Impact Wrestling is, and New Japan is. I'm like, he's talking about in the States, bro, in the States. Like Impact, I would say Impact's probably like fourth right now. To me personally, it can switch, but like those are like, okay, it goes WWE, AEW, and I think GCW is in third because they've been traveling all around the world, all around the country. No independent promotion. Like, and I get it, ICW, No Holds Bars does a couple international tours, but GCW is willing to do where it's doing international tours, is selling out places where you don't think it's selling out. This past weekend, a couple weeks
Mm-hmm.
ago, last time they had a good crowd. This time the building was almost packed, like packed to the gills. Maybe like I would say there was like two, like that place seats 1,000 people, maybe
Mhm.
not, maybe like 3,000 people. There was 2,000 people in that thing, going
That's crazy.
crazy, going crazy, and like the fucking thing that I don't get, and this like I'm gonna use as an example, but even he's a trainer and a coach or whatever. I won't say his name because I'm gonna get in trouble. But this person who I train with will be like, "Oh, did you go to GCW again and stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah, it was halfly sold out." And he, take shots of me being at GCW. I was like, "Hey, brother, hey, you don't get down here, so unless you gonna take shots about we, so we always had this argument. He's talking about I'm a draw, I'm this. I was like, I ain't never heard of you. I'm sure a lot of fans are gonna be like, I ain't never heard of you. If you bring up the name Nancy Leroy, they be like, yeah, I know Nancy Leroy. I was like, we just bringing up facts, right? He was like, oh, I was on TV. Yeah, you was on Dark. I was on a lot of shit. But that's not the point. The point is, people know my name because I'm getting out there. And I choose to be with GCW because it reminds me of ECW, not because of hardcore, because of the diversity of the wrestling. ECW had the
That's
diversity in the wrestling, and they can make you a star, even if you was a star in another company, they can really make you a star. They can launch you to the path. Like as I think about it, as I think about so many people that went to GCW and ended up going to other promotions, Jungle Boy, Tony Deppen. Well, Tony Deppen's still in GCW, but he's doing Ring of Honor shit. But
mm,
Tony Deppen, Jungle Boy, um, Orange Cassidy, even that he was a Beyond guy, he went to GCW and got more over. I think Danhausen did some stuff, but he did no, I don't think he did. He mainly did New South and other shit. But yeah, Marco Stunt, fucking launched him in the stratosphere of like big indie bookings. I'm trying to think. Man, hold on, let me think. Oh, Monster Slamovich, Sawyer Rex. She got on one week. She got on one show, blew the fuck up. Sawyer Rex,
and
Monster Slamovich, Alex Price. Alex Price is already doing his thing, but
even once again, you not necessarily like trying to give him the rub, but like think about what that promotion did for Cardona and his career. Like if you
oh
want to
yeah,
talk
I
about
give him the rub, even that he's a rap bastard. Like
like,
he
but
knows.
you think about his resurgence. Like yes, when
Mhm.
he first got released, yes, he did AEW, he did some stuff with
And
Impact, but the stuff that he did specifically in GCW
GCW really cemented his stuff. Yeah,
is
yep,
what made
yep.
him like the staple that he is in pro wrestling now, the institution
Mm-hmm.
that he is in pro wrestling now. So like, yeah, you can't knock the
Oh, I
relevance
don't. I like as
and you
much
even
as
think
much as
about
a rap,
you think
much as
about
a rap bastard he is, I don't knock him.
you think about Chris Jericho showing up at a show. Like think
Yeah.
about the impact that GCW has. Like, and this is something that me and Joey talked about, and we kind of did, sort of draw the comparison to ECW. And I know once again, to some people that may be a very lazy comparison just because of like the hardcore aspect. But no, if you think beyond that, just the fan interaction, the fan support, the diversity as you mentioned, like just all of these different things that help cultivate a healthy independent wrestling scene. That's pretty much what GCW has done. Like you guys had Osprey come by. Like you guys have like
Mm-hmm.
done so many, like it's
This
that
this
pocket.
Zack Sabre Jr. in Brooklyn, so
Yeah, you guys like have that pocket of like being the realistically, if you want to think about it, that's kind of the forbidden door. Like if you want to be if you
I've
want
been
to be
saying that.
if you want to be like very very honest and like transparent, because anybody can come through,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like the intersection
Briscoe
between
Thunder Rosa, Zack Sabre Jr.,
I,
fucking
I
John
think
Mox.
Takesh yeah, I think Takeshita might have
Yeah, Caster
yeah,
dived in for me.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you guys like have a lot of people like bisecting each other when you come through, GCW. So yeah, it's a
I,
I feel like for somebody that doesn't have TV, like you said, to be able to do international shows and have people from established brands kind of come by. And House of Glory kind of reminds me of like that energy as well. Like, you know, they have
Yep.
a lot of people come through. Like the first show
Yep.
that I went to, Eddie Kingston was in the main event against Loki.
Yep.
Malachi Black and Buddy Murphy,
Yep.
they had a match. I saw Willie Mack and Rich Swann versus Private Party at HOG. Like,
Yep.
who else? Jesus Christ, who else? I saw the Lucha Brothers versus the Briscoes last year
That
at,
shit was
at
crazy.
a HOG show. So like, yeah, there's this intersection, you know, in independent wrestling right now that I feel like, you know, this is what we wanted for the business, you know, for so long. This is the best time to be a professional wrestling fan. I say that time and time again because there's just
It
so
is.
much out there, and it's just not on your TV. And if you're a real fan, you seek out this wealth of information, this wealth of knowledge when it comes to professional wrestling. And that's why I feel like, and I said this in another video, if you can't find something in professional wrestling that you enjoy in 2023, you're the problem. Because there's
Yeah,
literally
yeah, that's your
something,
problem. Hey,
yeah, you're literally the problem. There's everything, literally everything out there for somebody. And if you are a wrestling fan, or if you consider yourself a wrestling fan, and no promotion is perfect, but the things that, you know, every promotion has a thing that they do extremely well. And if that thing that they do really well is your thing, then that's the place that you need to go and watch. And if someplace else does something else, you know, better, then go watch that thing on that show. You know, it's that simple. Like, you can dip and dive. You don't have to be restricted to just liking one aspect of professional wrestling. And even if there's nothing on TV, every major city has a, a independent promotion.
yeah.
So
Or
if
if
you
you
like,
close to a major city, it has an independent promotion.
yeah, so if you like wrestling, you like wrestling, and that's all that I always want to like get across when I'm on TikTok. Like, if you like wrestling, you like wrestling. Like, of course we can talk about things that we don't like, but like, there's so much that we could talk about that we do
That
like.
we do like, and I think not to cut you off, but like
Mm-mm.
there is there is a, I think we agree about that because if you, I don't know if you notice me, my feed, my Twitter feed, my TikTok feed, I don't ever talk about what I dislike. I always talk about what I like. And I
Yeah,
never and it's not because I'm in wrestling. It would be like the same thing if I was a fan, like, which I am a fan. I'm still a fan. Like, I put
absolutely.
I put like when I'm at home, I put my fan cap on and I fucking watch like everybody else. I tweet like everybody else. Like, it's just the thing. My current favorites right now, and it could change, but right now my current favorites are AEW, Impact Wrestling, and MLW. Right now, I'm not really watching much New Japan. I mean, except for a couple clips, a couple matches. My boy Kevin the Jet, watch his matches. But other than that, I just, that's where I keep it, and I'm not gonna be like, oh, they didn't book this right, or they didn't do this right.
Yeah,
Getting
because
on, getting on
no,
to the next point. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
next topic, if you don't mind.
yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Um, so all right, so we had a long ass discussion about different promotions and fans and stuff like that. Now we're gonna get into the nitty gritty of the nasty reality. So decent. Okay, you talked about how you got into wrestling. All right, so you wrote columns. You're a writer. You're a creator. Do you ever see yourself being a commentator or interviewer or anything like that?
Man, I would love to, honestly, you know. And once again, that's the aspect of, you know, wrestling that I'm definitely fascinated in doing. And it's more so like people like you and like people on TikTok who kind of like pump my head up to make me feel like I could do this. Because to be completely honest, the way that I got introduced into doing, you know, content in general, as far as like writing and hosting, it was through other people saying that, hey, like, you might be good at this. Because prior to me doing all this, you know, I make music as well. So
Okay, I
yeah,
know that.
so people, you know, like, all of this literally like started through like music. So I was making music for like, you know, since I was 8 years old. And then I stumbled upon the opportunity to write for a pop culture website. And from there, it went into doing interviews, you know, and I've interviewed, you know, I've interviewed a few celebrities. Like I interviewed Big Boy from Outkast, Dionne Warwick,
Okay.
you know, Marsha Ambrosius, like Elle Bonner, Curtis Blow,
Oh.
like Macy Gray, like, you know, a whole bunch of people. And then, you know, during lockdown, I started, you know, I eventually wound up getting a job because as a full-time writer, like because the stuff that I was doing was more freelance, but then I got put on staff as a full-time writer.
Mm.
So, you know, I was doing mostly like music editorials and like, you know, pop culture lists and, you know, things like that. I'm a big, you know, like movie and TV, especially from the 90s. So like I would do like listicles of like, you know, the best, you know, bla- the best neighbors on black TV shows. Like I would do lists and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, and I was cool doing that, but you know, once again, everybody knew that I was a wrestling fan, and so I was like, I wonder if like they let me write about professional wrestling, and you know, just because I felt like wrestling is a part of pop culture, it may not be as
Mm-hmm.
big as it was,
Yep.
you know, in the '90s where it was like all over TV, you know, but like it's still a part of pop
Slowly,
culture.
slowly and surely, I think it's getting back to that.
Yeah, it's definitely getting back there, but like you know, it's still a part of pop culture regardless. There's a big market for it. There's a big fan base for it, as we both know. So after the Undertaker retired, my editors came to me because the way we tried to construct our articles, it was based off of what was trending, you know. So after the Undertaker, you know, retired, my editor literally came to me like, "Hey, do you want to write about, you know, the Undertaker or like, you know, Survivor Series because it was the night before?" And I was like, yeah. So that was like my first professional wrestling article, and it did really well. And they were just like, "Yeah, if you want to write about wrestling, just like go for it and do it." So I just like kept writing about like wrestling, and like it started to like gain traffic and gain traction. Like if you look under like certain topics on, you know, Google, like the top 10 best factions and like, you know, certain wrestlers, like best matches and things like that, my articles are like the first one to come up on the Google searches. So like
Hell
I
yeah.
did, yeah. So like that like lent itself to like, you know, me being able to kind of have conversations about professional wrestling from like an articulate point of view, you
Mm.
know. And that's, once again, that's the approach that I have with it. Like I like to have a serious conversation based around something, you know, as broad as pro wrestling, you know, because it's an embodiment of so many different forms of entertainment. Like, you know, it's sports based, it's, you know, drama, it's, you know, comedy, you know, it's all of these things, you know, rolled into one. So there's so many different layers to it that you can't just have this like very basic comment, you know, when it comes to it. It's very basic outlook when it comes to it. Like you have to dissect it and break it down. But I would love to honestly like have a commentary, you know, job, or like even just like be a part of like, you know, the production crew, or just like have some sort of like insight into like the behind the scenes, you know, aspect of pro wrestling, because I do have that writer background, because, you know, I do have the knowledge as a fan, you know, but like it's not, I'm able to separate, you know, my, you know, me being a mark versus like doing the best thing for like the product and like writing. Because once again, like I
Yeah.
follow wrestling from the standpoint of it being a TV show, a show, you know, with characters, with plots, with, you know, things that have to be done or, you know, put in place to draw a specific type of emotion or to get to a certain conclusion or a certain part of the story. So I feel like approaching wrestling from that angle, as opposed to, you know, being emotionally invested, we're like, no, this should happen because I want it to happen. And I feel like that's what separates me from a lot of professional wrestling fans. Where like I'm not thinking about my own personal satisfaction. I'm thinking about what would be best for the business, what would be best for, you know, the best story. You know, because I say to people all the time, you may not be invested in a story, but that doesn't mean the story isn't good. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like, you know, you can have a story where whether or not, you know, you don't like the character. It's not that, you know, the character is poorly written. It just, you just don't gravitate towards it, and that happens with a lot of things, you know. So I feel like me having that outlook on professional wrestling, and, you know, me being, you know, and once again, this is like everybody else's like assessment of me being great with words, but like I feel like me having sort of that ability to like public speak, me having that ability to talk about wrestling in a very dissected way, would be able to lend itself to like, any aspect of like pro wrestling, behind the scenes or even in front of the camera. Like I definitely like would want to like commentate or do like backstage interviews and
Yeah, I
or
can
something
definitely
to that
see you
degree.
like as a commentary or manager or somebody. Like, definitely.
I
Like,
would, like I said, I would love to do it just because like, and it's not me overstepping my boundaries. It's like I've had my friend who's training. He was like, "Yo, you should be a part of this." So like, I don't
I
want to
agree.
like,
Like,
I don't want
I
to
feel
like,
like you and your friends should do like you should have maybe like you should either manage your friend or manage somebody in House of Glory. Like,
so
there's this
we're
guy that I recently there's this guy at House of Glory that I just recently come upon him. I don't know. Like my friend sent me a clip of him, and I never like I seen him around, but I never really paid attention to him. But his name was like the Entertainer or something,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I was like, "Yo, Decent would be fire if he was managing him and stuff." So yeah, he's good and stuff. So
Yeah,
like those like
I'm familiar with him. Yeah,
yeah.
but
So
like, so me and my friend, we actually, so House of Gloria is actually developing their sort of like developmental brand, kind of like what NXT is to WWE. It's called Legacy Pro Wrestling, and
okay,
that's what my friend is wrestling for, Legacy Pro Wrestling. So
okay,
we've kind of had talks about like, the potential, if it's there for me to potentially do something. I don't want to make it seem like I'm making an announcement or anything, but like the interest on my part is definitely there when he like said that, they're doing this thing, and I'm like, yo, like I would love to like be a part of that, in any capacity, like even just like being around it, just like knowing, the
yeah.
behind the scenes aspect. Like I said,
You
the
want to
the
be in a
production.
mix.
Yeah, the production aspect of professional wrestling is something that I've always been interested in. So like now with me having that tenure as, being a writer, and even having my own show at one point that I, produced, it was me, one other person running it, essentially like I was booking the guests, I was coming up with, the interviews, and they were handling, the production aspect as far as, running the camera, and we would edit together and things like that. So I do have that experience, but I I want my introduction into, the professional wrestling world in that aspect to come from somebody who feels like they can entrust me with being in that world, you know like somebody, who's been doing this, somebody who this is their life, seeing that I'm worthy of being able to be in that sacred space. Because once again, just because I'm in close proximity of a lot of people who wrestle doesn't mean I have that blessing to be in that sort of fraternity. You know what I mean? So like, as much as I do know, as much insight as I have, I'm still not in that space of
You want
feeling
somebody
like,
to give you the the opportunity. I got you.
exactly, somebody within the business to be like, yo, you're worthy of being, amongst us in this capacity. So like, come aboard. Like that's what I want. I don't want it to feel like, I'm some outsider, because regardless, I am an outsider at the end of the day, because once again, I'm not taking bumps. So, you know, the to be able to be included within the vicinity of people like you, would be something that I feel like if I got that opportunity to do so, it's because they felt like I was worthy of being in that space.
Speaking of that, I'm very interested. Like, I don't want this to sound very like I don't want this to sound like I don't want this to sound come off like a ego thing, like a very like
No, no,
uh
no.
um. But I'm interested. Like, I know like we've interacted on TikTok and stuff.
Mhm.
I'm interested in to know like, did you know me before TikTok, or you just became
Yeah,
aware?
of course. Like I
Because
said,
I don't.
I don't know
Um,
if you saw. I don't think we're following each other on Twitter, but I tweeted like not too long ago. I was like, "Yo, I can't believe that Alice Kane and Nasty Leroy follow me. Like that's crazy."
oh
Like
yeah, I just recently followed you because I saw it, and I was like, That was really
Yeah.
cool.
I was like, yo, like, that's surreal to be like, that you popped up like I thought it was like a fake account at one point, like somebody that just happened to have like the actual name. But then
There
when I
has
saw
been
it was
those. There has been
so
those.
so when I saw it was like, it's actually him. Like, yo, that's crazy. Because much like you, like I got TikTok during, quarantine just because like I saw that everybody else was kind of doing it at the time. I was writing and doing content, so I felt like I needed to be on that platform, but I didn't necessarily know what to use it for.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like I started to make like funny videos and stuff like that, and they weren't necessarily like getting engagement. And then I'm the type of person when it comes to social media, like I don't want to feel like I'm living in front of the camera just for the sake of entertainment. Where like I have to wake up in the morning and like I got to think about a video to do today so I can have something to post so the algorithm can pick it up. I'm very much a person who like is, I have to be motivated with the best of intentions in order to create.
Same.
So like I'm not creating for the sake of just creating. Even though when I was writing full time, that was my job. Even still, sometimes that became a bit of a chore, like trying to find out what to write. But even still, I managed to pull that off, especially when I found professional wrestling was my niche. There was always something to write about. So I didn't know what like I was using TikTok for, and there would just be times where like I would just abandon it and not post for months on end. But then suddenly I was just like, you know what? Like maybe I should try pro wrestling content. Like I'm always talking about it, and like you know, maybe I should just like talk about that on there. Like not necessarily like crafting like a character or anything, but like I just felt like what this is.
Let's get my
It,
opinion and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, but even still doing so in a way that once again I did have the outlook on wanting to do it from a standpoint of being educational, being approachable, being respectful, first and foremost, like giving a different side and a different face and a different voice to professional wrestling fans, because I get all the time that I don't look like a wrestling fan. Like I don't come across as a wrestling fan. I'm not sure what that means because like you'd be
What
surprised.
does that mean?
Yeah, like
I
I
get
was
the
like,
fucking. You know what's hilarious? I get the same thing as a wrestler. They be like, you don't look like a wrestler. I'm
like what does that mean?
what the fuck does that mean? I'm
Yeah,
supposed to
like
fucking have Ross board abs and shit. Like
you're supposed to walk around in singlet like every single day of your life and like just like have a title belt on your shoulder.
what? What? I was like, what? I'm not six. I'm not five. I'm not 6'5", and I don't like fucking look super jacked. I don't have the airport test as Booker T. Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, but let them step in the ring with you and see how they feel about you not being a wrestler.
Oh yeah, that's what I say. That's what I say.
But so like I guess it was more so the approach, because once again, professional wrestling fans can be very obnoxious. They can be very toxic and very opinionated in a negative way. And like I want to come across with this approach that I'm trying to educate and have a dialogue rather than make it seem like I'm an authority on something, because I'm not. I'm once again just a professional wrestling fan who has a way of kind of conveying whatever it is that he wants to say in a way that people probably aren't used to professional wrestling fans doing, especially on social media. So when I started to see that, the engagement started to pick up on my videos and stuff, I was like, okay, like I've found my niche doing this. And that's when I started to get like a bunch of like more notable wrestling content creators starting to follow me, and I'm like, and like everybody like was just like very supportive and like really embraced me when I started to pop up on their feeds. So
I'll tell you when you pop up on my feed. Not to cut you off. You can go back to your thing, but
no, go ahead.
you pop up my feed because my friend Lovely shared your video,
I
and like
love Lovely.
soon as I seen you and the way I forget the video, but you broke it down so eloquently, and I was like, who is this brother? Like breaking it down. I was like, damn. I was like, I immediately I said I gotta look at a couple of videos. I looked at like 3 videos, and I was like, follow. It's like my follow.
Yeah, like I said, when you follow me, that's when it was just like, okay, this is starting to get traction. because like you being like the first notable like name as far as like somebody who's a wrestler following me. I was like, yo, this is like this is big, and shout out to Lovely. Like she's super super dope. Like one of the first people like who kind of like welcomed me into that space as well, because the influence that she has and like the connections that she has. So for her to feel like I was somebody that she can kind of put on or like felt comfortable sharing content, like it's situations like that that make me feel like I'm doing the right thing and doing it in a way that's respectful, and
Yeah,
people.
it's just like yeah, I think what it is with Lovely, like for me, I feel bad because of what happened, because she kind of like she still does wrestling content and whatever, but like
Mhm,
she was behind the scenes and I didn't even know this. But I was I remember when she was in a Twitter space and she was like she got some flack about the Shane Taylor thing and when they was putting the fists up and whatever, and I'm
mhm.
like, why y'all always coming at her? And and I can understand her, and I can understand her. Like if I got that much flack, I would have been like fuck wrestling too, or fuck wrestlers, because a lot of them didn't appreciate her and like it was like not appreciating her what she brings to the table. Like,
Yeah, because she was
the,
very hands on with like doing like a lot of stuff, like a lot of wrestlers that people aren't
mm-hmm,
aware of. Like she was
yeah,
very influential in their social media, very helpful in
and
regards to
you
their
can tell, you can
booking.
tell,
Hmm.
you can
So,
definitely tell.
so yeah, so she definitely like, put me in a great position to like link with other like known, creatives, like, the dudes from Grap City follow me on Twitter, which I thought was like, okay, like these guys are like paying attention to what I'm saying, and like me, and like I'll have interactions with them, and like for them to like have like for them to kind of like feel like, yo, like you have good takes, or like you know what you're talking about, like those are people that I look up to. So for them to feel like I'm on the right path as far as like my presentation, that's the stuff that makes me feel like I'm doing the right thing when it comes to people like them, people like you, who once again, you guys like paved the way for the stuff that I want to do in this space. So for 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 you
I
guys to give
appreciate
me
it.
that acknowledgement, it's like I'm doing the right thing, and I always think about you guys more than I think about other creatives and fans. And I know it sounds very egotistical, but like I'm confident with who I am as a wrestling fan. I know my
Mhm.
likes, I know my dislikes. I tend not to, ride a wave. And if I do have an opinion about something, I can state why I have the opinion that I do have. And I'm willing to listen to anybody. And I think that's where, once again, the confusion lies. Like, I have conversations with everybody who come at me respectfully, even if we
Mhm.
disagree. Like, there are plenty of creatives on Wrestle Talk that I disagree with, like on a consistent basis, but it never goes past a specific point of disrespect. Like we'll still agree with each other. We'll agree to disagree, but like when we agree with each other, we agree with each other. But when we disagree, we're not trying to do it in a way that's like upsetting and trying to cause division and friction within the community, especially once again, like the majority of people that I rock with and I talk to are black people. So I think once again the one of the blessings is finding that there is such a huge black professional wrestling community that I wasn't
Yeah,
aware of.
I like that. I like that. And I think so. I've been trying to get this. I'm gonna just say this publicly because I've been trying to get this to happen. I've contacted you. I've contacted Khan. I've contacted what's my girl from the Bronx?
Ray.
Uh, Ray. Contacted Ray, and I wrote now. I'm saying this live on my show, so I'm putting this out in the atmosphere in the multiverse. I want all of us to come together and have one big show and like just talk about pro wrestling from all different forms because I feel like all different opinions and how we get down. And it's not even supposed to, like, it's not even a regular. I'm not trying to make this a regular thing because I know like everybody, like Connor has got his music, he's got his podcast, you got your stuff. Like, I just want to make it one episode of like, all right, we're gonna just talk about everything wrestling, everything where we just what we like about it, the opinions on certain things and stuff like that, and like what we're doing right now, basically.
Yeah,
And just
I'm. Yeah, I'd definitely be down for that. Like I said, there's a lot of like creators from like all over that I also want to connect with. Khan is definitely one of them. Me and Ray, we talk all the time. Um, Scoob is my boy. Like I feel like Scoob has like been one of the biggest reasons why a lot of the stuff that I've done on TikTok has taken off because he'll post his questions. He does the one gotta go and like all these other
yeah.
different, all these other different videos. And like for me being able to piggyback off of that is what actually helped jumpstart my engagement. So like I said,
Yeah,
there's
I
a few
definitely want to get him
individuals.
on there. I want to get all of us
Yeah,
creators, all of us, one, wrestler that does create stuff, you know,
yeah,
but like, have all of us in a space, a black creator. And it got me the thinking because Khan was the one who gave me the idea. He was like, all the black creators, just tap in. And I'm like, I want to get all the wrestle talk, all the black creators. Like, there's 4 people in one space, and then we just talk. And plus, I need to hear Ray go off on somebody. It's gives me energy. I'm sorry.
So
Like,
one of the things that Ray always, and I always tell her, I'm like, I know what it is, that you're trying to say. And oftentimes you are saying it. It's just your delivery. And she's always like, I wish I could deliver like you. I was like, no, you shouldn't want to deliver like me. My delivery is my delivery. Like your delivery, there's nothing wrong with your delivery. It's how you feel. Like I may
yep,
come across as a lot more, subtle for lack of a better term, but like essentially a lot of the stuff that she's saying, it's what I'm saying. I'm just saying it differently, not better,
it's
but differently because
just
sometimes the way
different.
sometimes the way she says things is like it's honestly how I want to say things, you know. So
I
the
feel you.
fact that yeah,
And to that point, why you say that? I need you, and I mean this personally. I need you to talk your shit more, okay? When these disrespectful fucks, I'll say it. When these disrespectful fucks out here try to clown you and you come out respectful, then first time okay. But if the second time they come back disrespectful, listen here, man. You should be like, listen here, man. Fuck is you? Who you talking to? Who is you talking to?
and I say that all the time. Like I don't think people understand. Like as cool as I am, like I'm super approachable. Like we were able to set this up like really quickly. Like I have that line of communication when it comes to people that
Yep.
I'm really cool with, and people that I feel like we have like similar interests, like similar goal, like especially within this circle. Like we're trying to build, we're trying to connect. So that's why like I'm always down for a conversation even if it's a disagreement, but when the disagreement turns into disrespect, that's when it's just like, because once again this is about wrestling. I don't feel like there's
Mm-hmm.
anything that you should feel that should make you feel like you're comfortable with disrespecting somebody, especially somebody you don't know. Like you
Mm-hmm.
know and I think that's what it is that I have this approach where like if you're disagreeing with me, but you're doing it in a way where I think what it is with a lot of wrestling fans is that they find themselves more witty and more clever than they actually are. But then when you run into somebody who isn't necessarily impressed by that, they take it especially personal, where it's like I'm not laughing at your very, very toxic take or like your joke that's been used a million times about a specific, like, oh, this wrestler used to wrestle for WWE, now he's in AEW, and it's like, oh, AEW is looking like WWE now because all the wrestlers over there, and it's just like you're corny for that outlook. And like because I'm not engaging in that narrative, you
Mm-hmm.
know I look like I'm like pretty much like, okay, like once again, I don't get emotionally invested. The emotional investment comes in when it's just like you're starting to be disrespectful, and it's now it's not about wrestling. It's not about professional wrestling anymore.
Now
It's about
you disrespect. Yep, like you was
yeah,
talking about earlier.
yeah.
I,
You're not
I just
talking to
wanna,
me as a yeah. You're not talking to me as a wrestling fan.
I just wanna. You're not talking to me as a wrestler. You're talking to me as a person now. And now I feel like I'm gonna talk to you this kind of way, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, because like there's some people you talk to them the wrong way, they pull up on you. They be like, hey, listen, what that you saying?
Yeah,
Like you
and
can see
like
them in person, like
yeah. And once again,
I'm always the person where I'll say it on Twitter, on TikTok, just like I would in your face. Like I'm not gonna like, oh, I
and
wasn't saying this and then backing down. No, I'm not
yeah,
gonna do that.
that's the big thing with me. Like the way I am on TikTok isn't a persona. Like this, it's me in real life. Like this is how I communicate. Like 99% of the time. You know, so when it comes to social media, it's like I feel like a lot of people have gotten their bad habits as far as communicating from social media, and they forget that
Mm-hmm.
this is an app. Like because the majority of
You,
people that do talk the way that they talk, I know for a fact they don't talk like this in real life.
mm-hmm.
Because
it,
just the idea that you can like say whatever it is that you want to somebody, you know, the way that they say it to you, in the comments is like there's no way that you're walking around with all your teeth if you're constantly talking to people like that in real life.
like
So,
this, them, yeah.
so
It's
that's why
like
I don't
it'll
necessarily
be
take it
so.
personal. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but like that's
Yeah,
why I don't get as upset because it's like who I am on social media is me in real life, and I know that that's not you. So like I'm not gonna be offended by somebody who isn't comfortable enough to be themselves.
yep. Next topic. I know we was going on long for the last long time,
Yeah.
but the next topic I want to hop on is okay. So we talked about independent wrestling. We're gonna talk about more about that in a second. But currently, what is your feelings? What is your feelings about the current stuff that you're watching? What are you entertained by? Um and
Um,
I think there's one more. There's one more question. What do you think? What do you think? Who tag team wise? Who is a tag team that you like to watch? That you currently any promotion that you like to watch. It could be the Indies. It could be Impact. It could be AEW. It could be anybody.
so from what I'm watching right now, of course, like I'm watching, the the two main staples, of course,
Yeah.
WWE, AEW. Um, I I try to catch a lot of Ring of Honor. I do have the Honor Club subscription, so I'll watch the Thursday show or when I can. At least like certain matches, I'll try to get a watch out of them, just because I have the time. When I have the time to specifically, like I'll sit down like on like a Saturday or something to get caught up on Ring of Honor. But
Yeah.
as far as the stuff that I like in WWE, I definitely like the Judgment Day. I definitely like, of course, like the Bloodline story, like most people. Yeah, mostly just like I love the in ring quality that's picked up since Triple H has taken over. I feel like matches get more time, and I'm definitely one of the big people who one of the people who are big on the recent backlash that happened. Like I thought Backlash was a really good show. AEW, I'm more in favor of AEW just because like it's more so like my brand of professional wrestling. I mean like within the confines of the ring. Like I know it's still a new company and like
Mm-hmm.
the production and the timing is still something that needs to be worked out. But like as far as like the wrestling, I'm always more in I'm always more enthralled with what's happening in AEW just because there's the probability of more dream matches happening there where like somebody from like another promotion from like New Japan or Impact or GCW or whatever can show up and that's a match right there.
Yeah.
So that's why like I'm kind of more clued in into what's happening with the AEW just because you
Now,
know
do
no go
you
ahead.
have you had your favorite tag team? I keep cutting you off. Like,
No, my favorite. I'm biased, But like,
be biased now.
so like they haven't been doing as much recently, but I mean, let me not say that they're actually current champions, but like my favorite tag team for a while has been the Lucha Bros.
Okay, yeah,
I
all right,
I
yeah.
I love the Lucha Bros, and like once again, I have a bit of a bias because I actually got to meet them last year, so like that was like
Mad
a
cool.
very, huh?
That was mad cool, wasn't it?
No,
They they were
I met them at the HOG show that they did when they had their match against the Briscoes. So I met
yeah
them there.
they're good guys. I got to meet Phoenix on time.
Yeah,
He's a mad cool guy. So
yeah. So meeting them was like a dope experience, and even prior to that, like I love their work in Lucha Underground. Of course, like AAA and stuff with them, but like yeah, I love the Lucha Bros. Like that's probably like my favorite tag team.
okay. So I got a question. This is the on the show. So you're okay. You're putting on a Forbidden Door pay-per-view. In
Mm.
this pay-per-view, because written stuff, I wanna say I'll you can have all the different matches. Now in one of those matches, of course you're gonna have all different, styles of wrestling. Now in the women's match, you have everybody from all different companies, GCW, NWA, um, AEW, WWE, from all these promotions. What wrestler, and it could be a tag, it could be a fatal four way. What wrestlers are you picking? Uh, and before you go, I want to tell you mine. And just like get this in there, so you can have time
Mm.
to think. All right, so mine would be I would have to do a tag team match because I think it would be good. I think it would be a good old, I would say maybe a good old 10 woman tag,
10
10
woman
person,
tag.
yeah,
Oof.
10 person tag. Yes. I think it would be. I would say not just women; it would be persons because we gotta get all the people from all nationalities. No,
Hmm.
so doing a show. Uh, I would say for my first um would be Nyla Rose. Gotta get the Beast Bomb in there. I would say on the tag team would be um Camille. I don't know why, like her promos lately, it's been like just standing out to me because back then I seen her promos, it didn't really hit me. Like
Hmm.
it didn't have no flavor to it. But like lately, I don't know what been happening with her, but she been talking shit. She been popping up. So I don't know if she been, I don't know if she been, I don't know what the fuck she's been doing. I don't know. Maybe she's been, getting in her bag, getting in her country sayings, or going back home with it. Whatever she's doing, she's talking. So promo wise, gonna have her in there, Camille. I would say from WWE, yeah, gotta have Roxy in there, Roxanne, and I would say from GCW, we're gonna have the My Nasty Hottie, the GCW World Champion, Masha Slamovich, and also gonna have Alley Catch. I'm gonna have I'm gonna have Jamie Hayter. Was that 10? I think that's 10, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm. That's a good match.
Yeah. So and then you have Rhea Ripley on the other side. I would have Rhea Ripley, Britt Baker on the other side. Um, she's a little bit of rookie, but I still have her on there. I have Sawyer Rack on there. You know, I'll have Billy Starks as a villain. I like to see her when she plays the villain. She that would be fire. Gotta have two more now, or three more, I think. Um, okay, now I think now. I got that now. I got to really remember. I would say for the last two would be the last two would be Sheeta for AW, and I think for GCW, you gotta have Dark Sheik, and then one more from she may not be she's not with a company, but we could put an indie person, another indie person. She's a nasty hottie, but like to see on the side, the opposite side. Shaza McKenzie, put that in there. No, Shaza McKenzie and Steph DeLander. Yeah,
That's tough. That's tough. I like that. I like that a lot. Mine is a little bit more simple. I'd have a standard tag team match.
Okay.
I would take Mercedes Moné and Willow Nightingale versus Kyrie and Io.
Okay. I like that. I like that.
Like I'm a real big Willow Nightingale fan, and somebody that I also had the privilege of meeting last year. I met her at Black Girl Magic
So sweet.
last year. Yeah, so like she literally is who she is like on TV and how she like that energy is infectious and it's definitely real. And
Yeah,
she's
I'd be
just
like,
been
how can
like
you not? When people like, I don't like Willow Nightingale. Like, how can you not? Like, what?
exactly like she's awesome, and I feel like if ever she does go heel, and I said this on another podcast, like I feel like if she went heel, she'd just be like, oof, like that would be scary because like her move set now as a baby face is just like unreal. Like I've seen her the first time I've seen her wrestle in person was at a House of Glory show, and every time I've seen her wrestle in person since, like she just like brings it. Like one of my favorite matches that I saw her wrestle last year, she tagged with Brooke Valentine
Mm-hmm.
and they wrestled main event, who are the House of Glory tag team champions now. So they had a really really dope match, and
They're like
um
to Thick and Juicy 2.0, right?
yeah. So like she's super super dope. So I feel like her and Mercedes will like make a really good team, and Io and Kyrie, like I feel like they they would definitely be like a force to be reckoned with. I wish Kyrie could have stayed in WWE, but I'm kind of glad that she's back and being showcased and like treated like the star that she actually is. I feel like Io is definitely after that match on Saturday against Bianca, she's definitely getting the
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 flowers
the
that she should
notoriety.
deserve.
Yeah, then like finally, like I hope the company sees that they have their next bona fide Japanese star and Io and push her like just to the moon. Like she deserves it right now.
Mm-hmm. So quickly, if you can, not so
Mhm.
quick, but quickly, if you can book the big Forbidden Door card, up and down. Who you putting first? Who you putting second, third, fourth? Co-main event and main event.
Oof.
We already got the
So
tag match with the ladies, so take that
yeah.
out.
Um. Oof. Opening match. I'd want to see. I want to see Shibata versus Malachi Black for an
Okay,
opening
okay.
match. Um, I want to see, and depending on how things like flesh out, if he eventually does wind up coming back, rumors are swirling. I would like to see the Tanahashi CM Punk match that we were supposed to get last year. Um, Tag team. I would love to see the Lucha Bros versus Aussie Open.
Okay.
Um, I would love to see Okada versus Hangman, a one-on-one match. And for the co-main event, I would like to see who would I like to see? Co-main event. Really, I think about this one.
Got a good kind of a good rivalry storyline in there, you know.
Yeah. Well, technically, like we could probably run this back since he's in AEW now. Co-main event, I would like to see Tama versus Jay White.
Okay, all right. Co-main event.
We can run that back. And
Okay.
main event, triple threat match, Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega versus Bryan Danielson.
I like that. I like that. For
Yeah.
me, I already did the tag match. So mine is like a big ass tag match because I want so many elements in the match. It's gonna be a no DQ like tag. So you gotta get everybody doing their thing. So it's gonna be a lot of violence. First we'll start out regular for a couple, for a few minutes. Then, Masha and Allie Katch will be like, you know what, fuck this shit. We going back to what we know. Get the fucking doors. And it's like so that whole lot of doors, whole lot of this, whole lot of that. So that, But I would say, all right, first match I would have would be I gotta have some indie guys in there. So I would say guys that are like next up. I would say who's tearing it up, and I'm glad he was riding around me to GCW. Look out for this dude, decent. When I tell you, and he's like most of these people are part of the national team because I'm a manager and I'm a good scout talent. If you notice that whenever I put a stamp of a person that are coming up, that are next up, so or they already doing their thing, So next up, and we'll be doing this thing, and will be a mainstay in GCW if he's not already, because I feel like he already is. His name is Hunter Drake, and he's from Huntsville, Alabama. He, he's a small thing. He's trying to put on size, but he can fly. This man is his tag. His nickname is King of the Flippy Shit, but he also can wrestle. He will be winning. I got a feeling like he's won the Hoss tournament down at New South. I got a feeling he will win the heavyweight championship down there and will win a GCW championship in the future. So I would have him. And Carmelo Hayes versus. And another person. It would be a 4-way. So him, Carmelo Hayes, Jordan Oliver, and I would say Tony Deppen.
That's a good match.
Yeah, and get the people going. Second match, you gotta have if I'm running the show, and I know he don't want to use the song no more, but it just hits different when it's in the big places. It just hits different on the big shows. I know he's using Fred Durst. I know he's using Limp Bizkit, but it just hits different. Gotta have the motherfucking truth, AJ Gray, going against his SGC member. Oh no, tagging, my bad. They're tagging against. It'll be SEC Manders, AJ Gray, Mance Warner, in a 6-man tag against the Usos in a I would say a tag team. You don't like ladder matches, so I won't put them in the ladder. It'll be a or no DQ. Well, no DQ. Full count anywhere tag team match, and the winner will win the GCW titles will be online, but also I think the AEW titles should be on. No, what would say the GCW titles? No, because No, fuck it. They'll be the WWE World Tag Team Championships on the line, and so that's what I would do. And then the third match would be a third match. I think the third match was a tag match. So that 10-person tag. The fourth match would be the OGs and stuff. Would be SATs versus Wasted Youth, Jimmy Lloyd, and Marcus Matters. The Entertainer. Let's see, the Entertainer. What else? I'm trying to think. Oh, and the main event. Co main event. I mean, mid card main event, mid card match would be, check these guys out. Would be Jaden Newman. Check him out. He's really good. Jaden Newman, Matt Sexels, and the grumpiest man in pro wrestling today. Not Brian Johnson. Adam Priest. And so that's a tag match. But get Matt Sales and Jaden Newman to work together versus Adam Priest, Cabana Man Dan. And because I know he can deliver, has gotta get, you know, Donnie Primetime of the Janela family, even though he don't like to be associated himself with the Janela family. But Donnie Janela and his tag team partner Stunt Marshall in a tag team match. They're new South, but they're really good. So I get them in there. And then I would say the co-main event. You know, gotta get a the co-main event. I would put QT Marshall in there with myself, and I would say, oh, Chop Ethan. Nah, that. I think me and QT Marshall. This is me and QT Marshall. We're talking about. I think it's like, I don't know if you've ever seen me and his matches beat the dog to that point. So.
I definitely gotta look up those now. But
it's on my YouTube here, going live on, like, we did a street fight called the North Park Street Fight.
Nice.
Little behind the scenes, he didn't want to do nothing. But I got Legos out of trash can, out of Singapore cane. Like, he barely want to take the Singapore cane. So I was like, damn, he didn't want to do nothing. So I just beat his ass with his lightsaber. But yeah, like me and QT. No, you know what? I'll put somebody else in there. I put good old. I'll put that in the tag team match. Another tag team match be me versus QT versus Matt Cardona. And I would say me and Effie. So main event, it would be the King Rose Slayer, Eric Nair, which you should check him out. He's really good. King Rose Slayer against the AEW World Champion MJF. I think it would be a three. I think it would be a three-way. I gotta get another person in there because it's just. I just would another bear guy. Let's see. I'm trying to think.
Jacob Fatu's a beast.
Yeah, gotta have that. So getting into the ending stages of, like, the show. We're not there yet, but we're getting there. This has been a good conversation, man.
Yeah, I got like a little bit of battery left because my laptop about to die.
Yeah, because I was like, I know we've been on here for a minute. So this is the question. So this is the quick questions. Okay, we talked about wrestling fans. We talked about a lot of different stuff. What do you want people to get away from this conversation? That's one. Two, what is So look what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something. Damn, I gotta think of this now. Why did I fucking blank? Man. Yeah, what do you? I'll think about it later about the conversation. But what do you want people to get from this conversation? And like when they're watching this, you know, you know, what do you? First, I know you want them to check out your music because I didn't even know you had music. But so, what you want to say out? What you want to say to the nasty hotties, to the nasty nation, to the nasty team? Like, what you want to say to people out there, man?
So I want people to get out of this conversation that, you know, us as professional wrestling fans, we do have a responsibility that goes beyond just enjoying the product. You know, we want to keep professional wrestling alive. We got to keep an open mind and keep an open dialogue, but keep the open dialogue as healthy as we possibly can. You know, don't be so restricted and constricted to this singular idea of what professional wrestling is, because you're depriving yourself of being able to enjoy it to its fullest. So I want people to get out of this conversation that you can be a professional wrestling fan how you see fit, but there's also things that us as fans have to be aware of and try to be as encouraging even when it comes to things that we don't necessarily enjoy, but also hold ourselves accountable when it comes to the type of wrestling that we do want to see. You know, if we want things to change, you know, do it in a way that, you know, lends itself to creative conversations and, you know, constructive criticism rather than just constantly tearing somebody down, especially when you don't know this person. You know, and by this person I mean the wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
So, but as far as, you know, what I want to say to, you know, the nasty nation, I want to say thank you for rocking with somebody like Nasty Leroy. We need more people like him in this
Appreciate it.
space, in the ring, who listens to fans from a standpoint of realizing that some of us do have something constructive to say when it comes to professional wrestling. And me personally, I want to thank you for having me. And once again, I've said this plenty of times throughout the course of this conversation, even prior to us, you know, even hopping on, you know, I do appreciate everything that you do and everything that you've done, you know, putting your body on the line for the sake of entertainment, you know, my entertainment, you know, the fans' entertainment, and hopefully somehow, some way, you know, we'll cross paths down the line and, you know, we'll be able to, you know, be in the same vicinity of each other, hopefully working a show together in some capacity. I want to put that out into the universe that's
Yeah. I got a feeling that we will. Like, I got a feeling like I'm gonna meet you in person, and like I don't know if you drink or smoke or whatever, but
oh yeah,
if
I'm a
you
heathen. So
you know, right, then we'll smoke then.
yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah, we'll definitely like one up together, and we'll definitely we'll have a beer together and stuff, and like yeah, I have a feeling like right now I can't really talk about my shit with me being on GCW, but what I can say is I won't be on any GCW shows in New York, but when I get to New York and I get to rock, when I get to go up there, I will definitely look for you, and hopefully you come through and we can chop it up in the city, you know. I know they're doing a lot of Brooklyn and Queens shows, and like, so yeah.
Yeah, man. Just
Right now it's a little rocky with my situation. You know, it's kind of sucky, but I'm kind of like I forced to go other places. But I'm gonna put this out there. There's nothing between me and Joey or Brett Lauderdale or nothing. It's just I have to take some time away from GCW, and it pains me to do it because it's just one of them things I have to be away from the company for a little bit. But I love this company. Like I told this to Joey like this. I probably will retire with GCW. This is the sense of like and this is how it is. Like, and it's not like, oh, you're not like putting energy in having a contract. But even if I had a contract and that stuff really never really goes well, or if I'm not really getting that many matches, I'm still gonna be wrestling with GCW and still, until they like you can't wrestle with them, like until they promotion, let's say Impact Wrestling tells me I can't wrestle with GCW, which I don't believe they would say it, but if they did, I would still wrestle with them. But like, yeah, I just tell people that's my home, so I have to like go away for a minute. But yeah, I appreciate it, man. Like I really do. Like, you don't know how many times, like in a sense of like because when you're somebody's friend, and you know what it is when you're when you're in the public eye of somebody's friend, people always think that you're this. They have a certain lens of how they look at you, and like, especially being Jordan another's friend, you always think oh, you're his friend. Oh, okay, well, and let's like it don't matter. The current fans, it's people who kind of fuck with Joey. They be like, well, I kind of don't fuck with National Leroy because he's friends with Joey Janela, and then they don't like take respect of like I'm my own person. Who I be friends with is like my business, basically. I'm friends with who I be friends with.
Right.
You're not gonna try to. Oh, you're friends with him, then I can't be friends. Well, then I want to fuck with you then. So that's basically how I see it. And like, yeah, a lot of people think I have this ego about myself, about like, because you know what it is. I discovered like being at the Nightmare Factory, training there, being so there so many years. People have you in a certain glass of like you're like so stuck up and you don't talk to certain fans and you don't do this and like you just what so somebody in the Twitter space told me, oh, all you Nightmare Factory guys really kiss ass and y'all like this, I was like, bro, I don't kiss nobody's ass. I give you to the straight. I would tell Cody just like I tell QT. I tell to the honest, like I give props due. Like Cody's nothing wrong for me. Did he not bring me on TV? Yes, he did. But do I like always kiss his ass and be like, oh yeah, you did so good, Cody? No, I give props due. You fucked up. This is what it is. So I appreciate you giving me the props and just like giving respect and stuff. Like, oh, they'd be like, oh, he can't wrestle that much, or he's just a personality. But no, giving me the respect. I appreciate that. That's why I like when that one time when you was like, I kind of disliked it. I don't know, I disagree with it, but you like, I respect you to the point, and you have respect for me, and I'm like, I do. It's just like if fans like you who have we have respect for each other, we can disagree, but also keep cool. That's what makes us, keep talking.
Yeah, because once again, this is supposed to be fun. At the end of the day, like it's what it is. Like I know it's serious.
You could definitely disagree with my point about like how Matt Cardona is the biggest rap bastard out here, but at the same time, you'd be like, well, he did kind of like revive his career and help out, and he does like give GCW sort of platform. And I'm like, I guess, but all right, yeah. That's what I think. I'd be so sarcastic. I just be like, I said something about the Acclaim. I was like, I really don't like Matt Caster, but I'm glad they're getting over. I'm glad they're getting money. I'm glad they're doing that thing. It's just like my bias aside, I know when to put it away. Like I can't fucking stand MJF, but is he a rap bastard? Correct. But the one thing that I like about Jeff is he lets you know what he is, and he ain't trying to hide it. And as much as I dislike him, he is one of the best wrestlers in the world.
That's what's up.
That's hard for me to say.
So. But yeah, thank you so much for having me on, man. Definitely appreciate it.
We definitely gonna do this again with more people in here and like have Ray, have Khan, have everybody we was talking about, and this I think it's just be a good space. It's like so quick thoughts. What did you think about SmackDown tonight? And Rampage when you was. I know you was probably watching both at the same time. Boy, which
Oh,
one you
Rampage.
watching?
I thought Rampage was coming on tomorrow night. I don't think it's on tonight.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's tomorrow night. But
Oh,
SmackDown
oh
was
yeah,
cool.
SmackDown.
The tournament for the World Heavyweight Championship, definitely good matches. The opening match with Ray, AJ, and Edge was really good. I was expecting Edge to win, but I'm kind of glad that AJ won. Um, the other match with Bobby Lashley, Austin Theory, and Sheamus. Happy that Bobby won. The segment with the Bloodline. Oh my god! Like just when you think that
Yeah,
that story is running out of steam, like
it
there's
gets more.
another.
It gets more stuff.
There's more in the tank with that. So I'm seeing what the swerve potentially is going to be with Roman and Solo, challenging for the tag team titles now. So I'm interested
Mm-hmm.
in that. But the main event between AJ Styles and Bobby Lashley, like for them to be the age that they are and still
And
going
still
at the
keep
rate
going, bro. Like
and
I've always
still
been a fan of Bobby Lashley, bro. Like I think. Oh, okay. Now I say, oh yeah, I've always been a fan of Bobby. Like I'm gonna say, there's been another time I haven't been a fan, but like yeah, when his ECW run, for
mhm.
Derby, when he was the ECW champion, when he was in TNA, like it's just some people I just like. People don't think I don't like, but I do like. I like Sheamus. My dad told me today, he was like, I don't like Sheamus because he's a bad guy or whatever. Well, he just became a good guy. He like give him a chance. He's like, I don't know. I was like, I don't like. You just don't like brawlers. I was like, that's what it is. I was like, you don't like brawlers. You like the technical wrestlers, but you don't like brawlers. He's like, you're a
Well,
brawler. And I was like, yeah, but you don't like when I do hardcore matches. I was like, yeah, you just stop doing it. I was like, well, I'm not gonna stop doing it. So you gotta get used to it.
yeah, but SmackDown was a good show overall. It tends to be, So I'm happy that the world heavyweight title picture has shaped up for that match between Seth and AJ is going to be really good at Night of Champions. So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Last question. Last question. Okay. This is a 3-part question, and then we're gonna take it home.
Mhm.
Um. So first, we talked about GCW and stuff, but and I see that you pay attention to the GCW. So who do you think is going to be going for the GCW World Championship to challenge Masha Rich? And what are your thoughts coming forward with GCW? And then my second question. Um, your music, man. Like, where can they find your music? Like, and then they need to
Um,
hear stuff. And then third question. Here's the third question. The third question is, what do you gotta say? Um, you talked to the Nash Station before. Like, this is like we didn't really go deep on it, but like, how did you find me before TikTok? So those are 3 questions.
so as far as GCW goes, as far as challenging Masha, I don't know. I don't think she's officially signed to exclusively signed to AEW.
Need
Billy
back?
isn't officially signed, right?
I think Billy's officially signed.
Oh, so I can't say Billy. So
Yeah,
definitely
I think
Allie
Mosh
is.
is like she's signed the Impact. So
Yeah, but so Allie definitely just because like I feel like that's been like a given for God knows how long at this point.
yeah,
Definitely like Allie for the longest time. I've been saying that like forever. But um my music, you can find me on all streaming platforms under the name Decent. I'm on Apple Music, Spotify,
okay,
Tidal,
okay.
Amazon. How did I come across you? I forgot what match it was. Fuck, I'm blanking right now. But I feel
It's
like
all good.
when I do figure out which match it was, I'll definitely like DM you on Instagram like that was the match. Like I remember seeing it at somebody's house. I didn't know like it wasn't like something somebody pulled up. I walked in on it and I was like,
okay.
who's that? And they were like, oh, that's Nasty Leroy. I was like, first of all, the name. I was like, yo, off GP, like the name is like somebody that, you know, I definitely like would have like as one of my favorite wrestlers. So like I'm definitely down with who. I don't care if he's a heel, I don't care if he's a face, like that's my guy. But shit, now I'm like so upset right now that I don't remember this match. Once again, like it'll definitely come to me, and then once it does, I'm gonna DM you and like, yeah, this was the match.
Yeah, definitely. You know what I care most of the time? Most of the time, it's 3 matches, 3 infamous matches that I get either a lot of hate or a lot of I love this match. It's one, my debut for GCW, Backyard Wrestling versus Dilfoy, where I pulled the gun on him after I whooped his ass. Number 2 would be my New South Beta event where I beat the shit out of Adam Priest for being a rat bastard. And he looks like, Davey Boy's, obviously Dynamite Kid, like the Alabama version of Dynamite Kid, but he has a real Southern accent, grumpiest man in, wrestling. And then third, I always get the cheeseburger match of me beating the shit out of the cheeseburger.
That's the match.
That's okay. Yeah, I always get that. I always get that. Your face.
That's the match. I can't believe it just escaped me that quickly. But yeah, that was the match.
Yeah, a little story about because we about to end it, but a little story about how I got the name. I used to hate the name, actually. My friends gave me that name. I used to hate it. I used to be like, I used to yell at my friends all the time about that name. And then my one day was like, I'm gonna get you to embrace that name. And then out of nowhere, I embraced it. Like I just really got comfortable with it. Like it was like I couldn't go nowhere without in the city. So I don't like haters gonna hate, but I'm gonna say how I'm gonna talk my talk for a little bit. So I'm known in the city, like I'm known like downtown. I'm known on the south side. Like anybody know if you say Nasty, you talk about Nasty Leroy. If you see me, you'll probably see me, not all the time, but mostly before my career took off. You can find me at Taylor Boulevard Hooters, and I'll be in there talking shit at football fans. That's actually how I got my promo skills. People think it's just promos. Nah, I was talking shit to football fans, basically. That's just how I got it. So you can either find me talking shit, or talking to the ladies, or doing my dance next swing to Return of the Mac, which is now Tony Khan owns that shit, so I can't use that no more. But yeah, it's either those 3 matches, and it was hilarious. Is not the Cornette fans don't bother me no more, but they used to just swarm the shit out of me. Like they used to be like, "Oh, because you were Joey Janela, you be putting out trash," and they be like. And luckily, Jim Cornette never reacted to my videos, but I always been waiting. I always been waiting for him to clap at me, to be like, "Yo, abomination to wrestle or whatever," because I got pitched on deck. I got on deck. So it's usually about a hate, and then there's a lot of love. So it's like a little bit of both about all my matches. So I think my debut and then my match with Cheeseburger always gets a reaction about some people on Cheeseburger side. You had to do that man like that. Why you hit that man like that? Why you put him through the thumbtacks? Like he was talking shit. And this is the thing. I can go on and on about Cheeseburger, but the one thing I will say is my point of the whole rivalry that I had with Cheese. Now it's over. I hope so. But now it's over and we're not beefing as much as we used to be beefing. The one thing, and I don't know if you know this, but the one thing, this is exclusive, the one thing why I despise Cheeseburger, and I still kind of do despise him, saying his ass. This is shoot. I really can't stand. I'm gonna call his fucking government name. I don't give a goddamn right now because I can't stand Doug. I'm not gonna say his whole name, but Doug is what his name, and he hates that. And I found that out. Oh, he's legit. He's the most cockiest. He tries to seem like, oh, I'm the nicest guy in wrestling and all this other stuff. But he is the instigator, bro. Everybody in Ring of Honor that I've talked to, the Briscoes, Shemali, LSG. I don't know if you're familiar with LSG, but all those guys will be like, he is an instigator. And he comes around like he's a nice guy, but he's an instigator and he's a rat bastard. So that's why we had that match, because I had to expose his ass for being the instigator that he is, a rat bastard that he is. So he tried like, I'm the nice guy wrestling with him. And he was doubting my ability in the ring about I can go really while we was beefing. Like, you can't take me. I'm T-Bird. I wrestled in New Japan and I did all this and I did this. I can take the worst too. Do you know where I trained at? Like, you ain't talking to no bum. Talking to a person like being there with legends out here. Suge D, fucking Kevin Kelly, fucking William Regal came through. Like, what are we talking about? Dave Taylor. Like, what is we talking about? Like, I can't grapple. That was basically what it was. But yeah, I appreciate you checking out that match, man. I really do.
Now I gotta go watch it again. Now.
Yeah. I would say I would recommend you a match. Other than that, is me versus QT. It's actually on my profile. You can actually type it up and like. Soon as you type in Nasty versus QT Marshall, it's an older match, but it was like, you know, before Preston was Preston, basically. Before he started using him. He's in the match, but I beat the shit out of QT next time. I was mad at the time because I couldn't use all my stuff. I couldn't use a trash can, I couldn't use a Singapore cane, but I couldn't use the Legos. But I beat him up with a lightsaber and a cookie sheet. So, but yeah, that's the match.
I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, it was great talking to you, man. Like, we had a great, really good conversation. Like, I don't want it to end, but it's has to end. So everybody, I appreciate you checking out the Nasty Reality. Yes, Nasty After Dark could still be happening on Twitch, but we're gonna be doing a little solo because we're gonna be talking about some stuff one-on-one. So if you haven't checked it out on Twitch.com/Nasty, aka that man, but also you can check this YouTube out. You can follow this YouTube and subscribe. You can see this conversation. And if you're a decent human being and you like, decent human beings, matter of fact, follow Decent on TikTok and all social medias, okay? If you want to be a decent human being that don't like, and if you don't do rat bastard stuff out here in these streets. If you like Matt Cardona, that's cool. But if you talk to Matt Cardona about me and wrestling, he gonna be like, nah, I don't want no problems because I'm scared of Nasty because he's always scared. You talk about RH Ready, he's always scared. Anyway, that being said, Decent, you got anything to say? Any last words?
Thank you for having me, man. And check me out on TikTok. Call me Decent. That's DEASCENT. And every place else, Instagram, Twitter, Decent, DEASCENT.
Yeah, follow it and check out his music. Don't be a rat bastard and check out his music, man. This is what it is, It was great talking to you. Like, when the people see this, especially the nasty hotties, I know there's gonna be some nasty hotties out here that's gonna be like, damn, you having that fine ass guy on here? I'm like, yeah, I'm having it out here. I'm out here having good looking people on my lives out here because we out here looking clean. What I hate is look at me. You already know, repping the nasty team. And for that being said, check us out later on as we come on next Friday, next Wednesday. We in the building. We out here in these streets looking clean with the haters look at me. Not only repping the nasty team, also. Oh, I don't know if you noticed, Alex King is part of the Nasty team, and he also do membership. He has his own group, and he's also part of my group. New stuff coming up, and we out. I was gonna say we out of here, but I gotta do my own thing. Stay nasty, my friends. Don't be a rat bastard. Check out the live. Check out Decent. We out here.
Peace.